Explain how you came to WandaVision with both a
Mm.
directorial and an acting background in sitcoms.
It seems kind of wonderfully inevitable that I ended up directing WandaVision because I grew up as an actor on sitcoms. I was on backlots and sound stages my entire childhood, but also as a director now as an adult, I do both comedy and drama and action and VFX stuff. So this project was a really wonderful melding of both my personal history as well as all the different things I love to do professionally.
And as part of that question, how did you prepare your team and cast for the classic sitcom style?
There was a lot of preparation getting ready for WandaVision. We had to be as authentic as possible to the sitcoms that we were creating. We wanted to make sure that we avoided parody and that we really felt like we were bringing to life these shows the way they would have brought them to life back in the day. So designers, cinematographer, actors, everybody did a deep dive into sitcom television history. We studied episodes, we read books about the making of, we talked to people who we could who had actually made them. And for the actors in particular, we did a sitcom boot camp where we went through and watched multiple episodes and tried on different styles and tones.
Why do you think fans love Wanda and Vision and their relationship so much?
Wanda and Vision are an amazing love story. They have relatively little screen time in the Avengers films compared to there's so many different characters and big events happening, but they make such an indelible impression, even in the short amount of time that we get to meet them. They are funny and charming. They clearly have this incredible connection, and they're so different. She suffered so much loss. She's fiery. She's powerful. He is this synthezoid who's a little bit human, but seems maybe more human than the rest of us, seems to know more about what it is to be human. And his calm, knowledgeable presence with her fiery, passionate one, it really is the ultimate opposites attract.
Where do we find Wanda and Vision as this series kicks off?
The series begins with Wanda and Vision living an idyllic life in a sitcom America. And where it goes from there is the mystery of the show.
Can you describe the efforts behind the scenes, from costumes to production design to dialect coach, to ensure the classic style was authentic throughout each era?
We were very careful in our attention to detail. We wanted to make sure the palette was accurate for each era and each show, that the red in the 70s was the actual red we wanted. We looked at dialect coaching and coaching about just sort of physical presence, like how do you sit, how do you stand in different eras. Obviously wigs, hair was really important. Costuming using vintage fabrics. Our costume designer, Maya Rubio, did a brilliant job recreating these eras, but also making them feel very focused on Wanda and Vision as characters. And our production designer had to design basically the same house, both inside and out, in multiple different eras. So it's the same house, it's just changing with the style of the different eras.
Describe the experience of shooting episode 1 in front of the live audience.
Part of our goal of being as authentic as possible was the decision to shoot episode 1 in front of a live studio audience. Some of our touchstones were the Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy, and those shows were done in front of a live audience, and it really contributed to the style of the show, that adrenaline of going out and doing it live in front of an audience. And the audience was a character as well. Those laughs were real. They were alive, reacting to what they were seeing, and how they reacted affected the performance. So it was really important to me that our first episode of WandaVision have that same spark, that same lightning in a bottle. We rehearsed it like a play, and then we went out and did it in front of an audience. The only difference between our audience and the Dick Van Dyke audience is they had all signed NDAs.
Talk about the cast and what they bring to production. Let's start with Lizzie.
Elizabeth Olsen is a marvel, no pun intended. She is capable of doing anything. Same with Paul Bettany. They are such amazing actors. Their ability to do different tones and styles, to shift from drama to comedy effortlessly, sometimes in the same scene. They have incredible chemistry together, which I think is part of what makes that relationship work so much. And they're fearless. They are fearless actors. They're willing to do anything and do the silliest thing to also the most adventurous stunts, things like that. They're amazing. I was lucky to work with them.
You touched on Paul, but you want to go a little further into Paul?
Paul Bettany comes from theater, which I think is part of what made him so successful, jumping around all of these different styles. They were very theatrical by nature. The Dick Van Dyke Show, some of the other sitcoms that we were looking at. And even though he's known for incredibly nuanced, beautiful film performances, he has that theatrical ability to kind of fill a room and adjust his performance to whatever the room and the moment needs. And also, I have to say, he's a ham, the most amazing, wonderful ham, incredibly funny. I'm so excited for the world to see how funny Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen are.
And what about Katherine Hahn?
Katherine Hahn is a miracle. She reminds me of Robin Williams in a way. She can do drama and comedy so brilliantly, often at the same time, and yet she can also be. She can, move you. She has the heartbreaking performances I've seen from her over the years. I mean, she's a one of a kind, and having her in this ensemble with Paul and Elizabeth, Tiana Paris. I really needed a whole bunch of actors like that who are capable of doing anything and shifting on a dime.
And Tiana Paris.
I worked with Tiana Paris years ago on Mad Men. She was new to the show that year. I was new to the show that year. I loved working with her. She is amazingly talented. She comes from the theater like I do. We have a similar sort of approach and background. She is capable of doing any tone or style. She's incredibly funny, a brilliant comedian, as well as like just a fabulous dramatic actor. So I'm excited for the world to see what she does in this show. It's pretty amazing.
Explain your cinematic approach to this series, why it is important, and how that was achieved.
The show is a director's dream. It requires recreating these sitcom classic television shows, as well as full MCU action. And also it will delve into a world that sort of merges those two as well. For me, it was an opportunity to use kind of every tool in my toolkit that I've collected directing comedy and drama and action over the years, and also to find some new tools, because this show is such an original piece that it required sort of constant innovation to keep up with it.
And what is the benefit of this story being shared via Disney Plus versus on the big screen?
The big screen stories are amazing, but in 2 hours, you have a limit to how deep you can go into telling a story. But with WandaVision, we're able over 9 episodes to go really deep into Wanda and Vision's relationship, and to hopefully move them forward into a place where one or both can venture off into other MCU properties.